We have Rose Dragons, Bones, and even more Exodia. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more content. You know, this is truly a fun time. We're a format where Dandelion is fully able to be explored, but also we get to see the action of Rose Dragons actually coming together and actually being a semi-viable strategy. You know, obviously, we do have some funny haha cards in here like Cactus Bouncer. We're also relying on some of the Rika stuff to kind of build up a little bit of a board, but we also do get to play Polynosis and Gravity Collapse. Anytime Gravity Collapse is involved in these synchro strategies, you know, this card ends up just being very, very broken. But I think it's cool to see that you are able to make somewhat of a viable strategy with the Rose Dragons with a decent payoff, and especially with the Genesis Championships coming up here. This is not a terrible list to kind of consider for the options that you have. Just make big Rose Dragon monsters and kind of rely on that end board do the thing. I also like the Gen X Ally Arms down here as well. Next up here, we have Bones and the zombie monsters to kind of hold this together. Now, obviously, the Pumpking stuff is one thing. You know, your goal is to be able to make a semi-decent board with this, but you got to remember, the Pumpking stuff needs a payoff. You know, there has to be something that you can do. Well, if you do see Ill Blood, you can re-dual summon it to get another monster on the field using actual Gemini monsters to do the thing. Also, see, we are playing Eldlich. The Golden Man actually has a payoff in this deck. You know, he's a big zombie monster you can actually access to be able to do things with, which is really, really strong. I do see you plenty of extra deck options in here to work with the generic zombie toolbox that you've got. You've got the Photon Strike Bouncer as well. You know, you're already accessing sixes as it is as a strategy, so being able to kind of pivot into that different idea to work with, I actually think is quite nice. But outside of that, Call the Haunted, Board Breakers, looks like an interesting strategy. Next up here, we have the wonderful world of the Exodia strategy. Exodia was recently just created during the last list, and it really showcased some of the fun that this deck was able to do. We have Into the Voids doing their thing. We're playing the Ancient Leaf in here to be able to draw, which is actually really, really funny. You're also using Magical Mallets and Reload. The fact that we have to go back to the hilarious older times here to be able to do things is really, really great. And of course, you know, we do have a singular Pot of Greed in here just to be able to kind of play the game, but I think that this is just an interesting strategy all the way around, especially using the Dark Lord stuff as an extra draw package within the deck. You know, your job is to pivot a little bit further in and get more of that payoff so you can do your thing to assemble all 5 pieces of the win condition here just to do their thing. Next up here, we have Punk Good Stuff. Now, recently, Punk got some interesting point adjustments to it. I see, you know, we got a little bit heavier handed on this, you know, Moonlit Chill went to 5 points, Ghost Ogre went to 4 points. You know, you got some major point upgrades here. Nibiru's coming in at 6s, and then you have Crows and Dark Holes, which are all dedicated on, you know, one-ofs here doing their thing. We've also got the Gravity Collapse here doing its thing. And of course, we do get to see Mind Over Matter here doing its side deck job. You have a lot of counter trap BS that you can actually bring in and work with this. I also love the fact we have access to Twin Twisters in the main deck as another little disruption card so you can do your thing. We've also got Triple Small World in here. I mean, you have plenty of bridges. And of course, the fact that we get to play Mind Master. There is the illusion that this card's pretty absurdly good in this format. I just wonder how players are going to go about it to make it work. Next up, we have the Punk Good Stuff, actually main decking the Rose Whip. Yes, Rose Whip is an incredibly broken card in this format, because naturally being able to deny your opponent the chance to actually like play the game is inherently one of the stupid things that this card does. One spell interaction per turn is pretty broken. We've also got Triple the Stone Sweeper, which is really good. I see all of your Cool Tune cards have been kind of elevated in points now. 6s across the board and then 10s on this. This build is also playing a Extrav. I mean, there's just some times where you need to draw the additional card to kind of help you get set up, which is kind of good. You're also side decking the Ultimate Slayers, which, by the way, Ultimate Slayer is still a very broken card. Its job is to help you out, and obviously, you know, you're going to have to board into the extra deck here out some of the other options, which I think is fine. You're just going to have to kind of adjust your ratios to make this list work out in favor of some of the differences that you've got. Next up, we have Dark Magician, Primite, Ecclesia, and Friends. First of all, man, this is so weird. Geza Tamias is with the Dark Magician, but you're not allowed to play Dragoon in this format because Dragoon is the definition of too broken to deal with this thing. I also see Fusion Deployments to bring out the Blazing Cartesia, which is fine. Obviously, you're only playing one Lordly Load. Load is too many points in this format. The fact that they slap this on a 33er and you're like, okay, cool, like I can barrel into it. But if your opponent has an interruption to, you know, take out your Lordly Load, you're not going to be getting the real advantage that I think you want on this. Also, I do feel bad about Eternal Soul in this format too. This being a card that actually just kind of gets destroyed in this format a little bit easier. It's kind of hilarious. So we've also got the Knight's Title and the Dark Magician's Knight down here. They really went all out on some of the little funny interaction you have. Also, Triple Shared Ride. That's definitely a flashback to seeing some interesting stuff. Next up, we have Magnet Warriors, aka where's the expensive cards in me deck? The fact that Adamantipator cards are all effectively 3 and you're just throwing in Beast, Barkion, and Gallant Granite as your good cards is kind of crazy. We also do get to see the Final End of Times spell card here. This card really does get a chance to kind of work overtime in this format, and I do think that this is a very strong card to kind of help you out. Nobody really recognizes this card just yet. I do think, given the current point situation, we're going to see a little bit of a recurrence back to this card, just because it's very, very good at what it does. But also, this format actually does have a payoff with the Magnet Warrior stuff. You are able to make the big Magnet Warrior boss monster, which is kind of hilarious. But this is it. This is your payoff to Magnet Warriors. And I do think that this strategy is actually not too terrible of a concept to actually work with. Next up here, we have Monarchs. Now, obviously, you lost Mega Zoborg, you lost kind of the stupid stuff, but this build's just going, all right, well, let's forgo all of that. Let's just get double domain and let's kind of roll that through and let's call that the day. If you're dedicating heavy points dedication to the domain, that's just fine. Your full 100 points is wrapped up in this card, which means, you know, the things you're going to be able to do with Monarchs outside of this is going to be a little bit more limited. Is it bad? No, but I think having the other tool set available for Monarchs feels just a little bit better. Also, I'm really surprised to see they're not like doing more of the new stuff. This is just kind of the classical, let's go back to the past Monarch strategy and actually kind of test out the old variations and ideas that we had. And I mean, I assure you there's some viability to this. Getting domain locked in this format would be pretty painful. Next up, we have Insects. Well, I think I found all my points. I will say, though, one cool thing about Insects is, like, you do kind of have the ability, well, I guess we're not playing, like, the Contact C and things like that. There would be a way to technically search for the Max C. You would technically be able to get to that, but I don't really see that we're doing that. We're also not doing, like, the normal monster shenanigans either with this. I see we do have the Goki pull shenanigans in here, but obviously you're doing more of the B-Trooper stuff, because the B-Trooper stuff is kind of like your guarantee to kind of make sure you're doing your thing. So all of your hand traps are going to be your expensive parts. We have the Syncada King. You do get to play Gravity Collapse because, yeah, once again, you are a synchro deck. You are allowed to play the incredibly broken cards that come with this. And you also do get to play the the Scary Moth down here to be able to kind of floodgate your opponent out of playing the game. So, you know, there is something to be said about that. That's kind of interesting in its own right that we get access to play that. And we also have Genesis, FA. Oh boy, talk about, we have the mechanic in here. We have access to the Cosmo Queen in here. So we are playing the one Salt Synchron for the extender. We have Dark Holes to kind of control the field. We also have Big Psychic and Punisher. I see we're side decking Armageddon Knights in here as well. This is very interesting. We've also got the You're Finished as well. What a combination of cards to kind of wrap this up. But Genesis is a format where you can play some very interesting ideas, and we will truly see, you know, how this is going to come together in the near future. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, and you guys stay safe out there, all right? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.